This is it, people. This is what you've been waiting for. This is Everyday Celebrity Podcast. The podcast for everyday people with everyday problems, trying to find everyday solutions to accomplish everyday goals. Let's start the show. You, welcome to another episode of Everyday Celebrity Podcast. This is season 2. Today I have a special guest with me. She is a Renaissance woman. She is a future magazine owner, a future entrepreneur, striving to own her own business. She wants to uplift women. She wants to bring light to women's struggles. And she's here to talk about everything that she has been through, the dark and the light. And we finna get into all that. So introducing Zola. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me on. I'm super excited to be here. In here. Super awesome space.
Thank you. So, we're not going to get into, your business yet. We're going to start from
the beginning.
From the beginning
How
of
far
life.
back?
Well, I mean,
How
not
far back do you want to go?
We're not going to go like to where you were a baby, but let's go back to. Are you born and raised in the Bay Area?
Yep, born and raised in San Francisco, and went to schools out there. And I went to an art school. I went to SOTA, School of the Arts High School. And there, it was...
That's in San Francisco?
That was in San Francisco. And it's kind of like Fame, but for SF. And the cool thing about
Fame? What the fuck is Fame?
Fame is like, it was a school in New York, and it's like where people do, dance and music and I think creative writing as well, like all the different art disciplines, visual, design, and they're all trying to get famous through, whatever artistic discipline they have. Mm-hmm. But, we had our version, in San Francisco of kind of Fame. And so they gave us a lot of, we had a lot of responsibilities, but we had a lot of freedom. So we had an off-campus everything. Like we'd go off campus whenever we wanted to. And we were expected to be going out at night till like 12 or 1 o'clock in the morning, at least 3 days a week, at least with the department I was in.
Expecting to go out and do what? Dance and shit?
Go to plays. We had to go to see a lot of like plays, and we went to see, museums at night, and we went to see, spoken word poetry, slam poetry, a lot of, spoken poetry. So, I developed a liking for poetry and slam poetry, and, just writing in general. But I think after going through that school and, my department head, Heather Woodward, she based the program after her MBA. MBA, yeah. So she basically had us do a thesis at the end that was 100-page thesis, and she burned us out pretty quickly. It was 20 pages we had to write a week, 20 pages of editing a week. Then we also had to go out all the time, and it was fun at first, but then we got really burned out on writing by the end. And so by the end of it, I, at the same time, I was learning to become a heavy alcoholic. Where I was drinking.
Yeah, I could assume that, because art schools remind me of all girl Christian schools where you're undercover wild. Everyone is wild and undercover, but art schools is you grow up fast. You're in the real world very early and shit. People are drinking, going to parties, partying with grown men and women.
Oh, yes. I knew, all the graffiti writers, people at my parties, they weren't my age. They were, 25 to 35. Mm-hmm. I would have parties where people would be, smoking crack and doing heroin, and it would just get way out of control.
These are parties that you're throwing?
Yeah. And just like everyone would come through the door. It's San Francisco too.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like everyone comes through the door. I knew all these people, all these graffiti writers and, you know, all these like crews and people who were also in gangs. And it would get like crazy real quick. And, you know, people at the school were also dealing drugs. And so I hung out with like a lot of drug dealers who were also very artistic and had a lot of artistic talent. I found that a lot of very artistic people, very intelligent people tend to be drawn to drugs. And it's a sad thing.
Why do you think that is?
You know, I've seen different reasons for it. I've seen people who seem to be just bored with life or bored with the people around them. They're not meant for the system that we have. And even in an art school system, you know, you still have regular classes and I don't know. I don't think school is one size fits all. And not every individual is the same. And it doesn't work for a lot of people. And I met people who could read, you know, like 7 to 14 books a week, but they would skip their classes. And I was one of those people, you know? So, yeah, so I think like that kind of early upbringing of having a lot of freedom and a lot of responsibilities kind of drove me to drinking and, you know, using psychedelics. And, you know, there's like, there's Bukowski and there's, William Burroughs, and there's a lot of artists that have drugs in their work and they talk about using drugs. You know, there's like the 60s movement, there's, you know, the beatniks and so all of that. But yeah, so I developed a liking for creative writing there. And people always told me I was an artist and I hated it. I thought that when you're an artist, that means you're a type B individual. That means you're beta. And I wanted to be alpha. And I wanted to prove that I'm, you know, not just like the artist that's kind of like, woo, like in outer space and doesn't really know what's going on.
Did you hate when people asked you what type of artist you are?
What type of artist I am? Not so much. I mean, people will ask and I'll say, you know, I do visual art and I do writing. You know, those are kind of the main two. But I think that I hated when people called me artistic. A lot of times what I heard in them was autistic. I thought they were calling me, you know, stupid. Yeah. For some reason. And I think that there's kind of, maybe it's just all made up in my head, or maybe it's a true belief that some people hold, that people who were more artistic can't do, you know, like logic. They're not good with logic. They're not smart in a different kind of way. And so I feel like all my life I tried to prove that, and that was by going into law. So, you know, I did like a pendulum swing, and that, to me, that went from, you know, alcohol to cocaine and getting straight A's doing that.
This is in college?
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's stay on high school.
Well, actually, cocaine was also in high school. I got
wait. All right, so you're in high school, right? Do you think when people do drugs or when artists do drugs, it brings out the artistic side? Because you know a lot of musicians and like painters and shit, when they do drugs, they create like these amazing songs and amazing pieces of art and shit. Do you think that's why they do drugs?
I think that is part of why they do drugs, but I think that people forget that you don't use drugs, drugs use you at a certain point. I mean, I have friends who can, you know, do some drugs on the weekends, or, you know, they can drink one cocktail and it's fine. Yeah. But I think that, you know, I've seen enough artists who started off doing drugs to be able to have more creativity, and I certainly did, you know, and then it ends up, you know, it uses you. You're not in control anymore. You know, I mean, addiction is addiction. So, and I've seen a lot of addiction with artistic types. And I think it's a feeling of being misunderstood, you know, and a lot of other things. And yeah, it does bring out, you know, some artistic abilities, but I think that, you know, a true artist can stand on their own without having to use drugs or alcohol to free themselves. Yeah. A lot of times, you know, you have to loosen up, but you need to figure out your own way to loosen up. You know, and for some people that will be drinking or, using psychedelics. And if you're not an alcoholic or an addict, then go for it, know? But if you have a problem, just know that you don't need those substances to be creative.
So what year did you graduate high school?
What was that?
What year did you graduate high school?
2013.
And then after high school, you went where?
So then I went to SF State and I majored in political science and I took a lot of legal classes and I did pretty well in them. And I really liked law because there's no right answers. There's only wrong answers. That's what they say. And so, you're trying to in a weird way, it's like you're trying to find a way around the law to come to a conclusion when you're solving a problem. And I liked this because when I was younger, I was super rebellious. And this was like another way for me to think about how I could be in the system and also using the system against itself. I thought it was a very cool concept. Now, as I got older, I realized that there's way more to it than just that. It's not like the movies. There's a lot of red tape. If you are going to be doing nonprofit work, that's 13 to 15 hours a day. You usually go to sleep at, 12 and you wake up at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. You have a whole nother day. And a lot of people say that you are bored and exhausted and stressed out at the same time. And I kind of realized, by the time I got to law school and everything was crumbling down on me, I kind of realized, I've been doing artistic work. I've been doing creative work. I'm getting hired for creative work, and I like that work.
So you went to law school?
So I went to law school.
After SF State?
After SF State. I took 2 years off to work at a law firm. I ended up working at a PI firm, but I worked for the general counsel there. And, and she wanted me to stay and I ended up getting a gig where I got paid more to do interior design out of anything. Right. And it was a lot more fun. I would go, I'd find samples. I created her website for her. It was Gail Melton Design. I created her website. I did her biography. I did a lot of writing. I did a lot of, design work for her. It was a lot of fun. And so I think each time I've ever been doing a creative project, I've had a lot of fun with it, but it would always be in the back of my mind, well, this is fun for now, but I'm going to do law. But I was never really in the legal field. That never really attracted me. And I think it was a need to prove myself to the world that attracted me to law. Just show that I have a JD to say I'm a lawyer.
So you're a lawyer?
Not a lawyer. I went to law school for 1 semester. I dropped out. I had to deal a lot before law school. Everyone was telling me I had to go to rehab and I didn't listen to a person. I called a hypnotist. I was like, hey, can you get me off of all these drugs? And he was like, you need to go to rehab. I'm like, well, you're a quack anyway. It didn't work out. Yeah. I was like, I can do this on my own. I'm strong. I can do it. And I went and I had no friends. And, I was all the way in Minneapolis. It was cold. I hate the cold. I don't know why I moved to a place that was cold when I hate the cold.
Wait, you moved to Minneapolis to stop doing drugs?
Yeah, I kind of pulled a geographical there. Moved to Minneapolis to stop doing drugs and to, yeah.
That's worse. There's nothing but meth heads and fucking shit in Minneapolis.
That's correct. No, I would try to find things, and the only thing I could find in Minneapolis was fentanyl. And so it's they didn't have anything in between. There was no in-between drug there. It was
wait. Let's stop with this drug shit.
Okay.
We're going to get into the drug addiction in a minute. But let's keep talking about this education, your education timeline. All right, so you was in San Francisco State, right?
I was at San Francisco State, and I majored studying political science, and I minored in international relations for a while. What law school did you go to? I went to the University of Minnesota in Minneapolis. Okay. And, I was I really wanted to go to a top 20 law school, got a 163 LSAT score, and I did it. And I'm proud of myself for doing that. But, again, personal things got in the way. But, all right. So, how long did you stay in Minnesota after you left school? Oh, as soon as I left school, I came back. I came back because it is easier to find drugs in San Francisco.
Did you drop out because you just weren't interested in going to school anymore, or what?
I dropped out because I didn't even realize I had a drug problem. Like, that's the funny part about it. I thought I had depression and anxiety and like every other thing. Like, I thought I had autism and like I thought.
Were you a functional drug addict?
I mean, here's the thing is that I think that a lot of people like using the word functioning drug addict, and I guess you could say I was a functioning drug addict, but I don't believe in that term. Mm-hmm. I don't believe there's such thing as a functioning drug addict. You can be somewhat functioning, but you're never truly functioning.
Yeah.
Your self-perception is whack. Mm-hmm. The way you talk to other people isn't okay. You don't care about yourself, and therefore you don't care about other people.
Yeah.
And that's no way to live life. You're not living life. You're just going through the motions.
Mm-hmm.
So, I was functioning to a point, but no, law school kicked my ass. People were in the library studying all night, and I was doing whippets. Like,
most college students do a shit ton of drugs, especially in finals and all that shit.
Yeah. But law school is, it's a different kind of animal. You really gotta put the pedal to the metal, and I just thought I could just, I don't know, go through it and just move through the motions like I did with life, and I thought that would be enough.
So what was the first drug that you've ever done, and how old were you?
First drug I've ever done, I'm not talking about
smoking weed.
You're not talking about smoking weed, you're not talking about alcohol and cigarettes. You're talking about like actual drug. Okay. Mm-hmm. I think it was LSD when I was 14 or 15. Mm-hmm. And then once I tried LSD, by the time I was 15, I was doing it every day. 2 times.
After that one time?
After maybe like a month after, like I had some money saved up from some gig, and I remember I could either get a fake ID or I could get 20 hits of acid. Mm-hmm. And I went for the 20 hits of acid, even though I loved alcohol. So it just kind of shows you, like, I don't know about priorities there. Like, that's kind of a weird one. But, like, having a fake ID could allow me to go to shows and, hang out with people and do a lot more than 20 hits of acid. But I went for the drugs rather than something that's permanent, or semi-permanent. They take away fake IDs all the time. But, I always went for something that's less permanent, that will get used up, instead of something that, will actually help me in life. Kind of a weird example there. But since then, so I was doing psychedelics a lot, but I was also drinking very heavily. And my parents they put me on Antabuse, which it makes you feel like you're having a seizure when you're drinking. So I'd drink, I'd be on the ground, I'd be drinking, I'd be, it's gross. I'd be puking, I'd be drinking, I'd be on the ground. It was horrible. It was like a horror show for everyone around me. But I kept doing it. Mm. And then, I think I was 16 when I tried cocaine, and I came back home, and my parents thanked me. I drank a handle of vodka, and I did a few lines of cocaine, and I could talk and I could walk like I was sober. And I was like, I hit the jackpot. I can actually look like I'm sober when I'm not.
Wait. So your parents thanked you for trying cocaine instead of...
Well, they didn't know. They just thought I was sober. They were like, thank you for not getting fucked up. Because that's the thing, with cocaine, it looks like you can drink a lot and then do a little bit of cocaine, and then it kind of brings you back to an equilibrium of looking kind of like you're sober, unless if you can see the signs. But they couldn't tell the signs, So after that, it was like, okay, I know how to get around this. If I just do some cocaine, I'll be fine. I can drink as much as I want. And that worked for a while. Yeah. And then, like anything, it stopped working.
Have you seen that TV show, Euphoria?
Euphoria? No, I haven't.
No? Okay.
What's it about?
You.
Holy shit. Okay. Guess I'll have to put it on my list.
Basically.
Damn.
Have you heard of it?
No, I haven't heard of it. Euphoria. Yeah. I haven't.
It's with Zendaya. You know who that is?
Zendaya? No. I've been watching Fringe. Have you seen that show?
And Fringe?
Fringe. It's like about like fringe science, and like they're trying to figure out like all these weird things that are happening, like teleportation. I'm like a Rick and Morty fan. Like I really like Rick and Morty. Like I like the science fiction type stuff.
Okay.
But I'll look up.
Yeah, it's a good show.
I should look into it.
So what was the worst thing that ever happened to you doing drugs? Like, did you black out and wake up like in fucking another state and like?
No, nothing like that. I mean, there's been a lot of bad things that have happened. I think the worst would have to be, I met a guy. I thought he was gay or, at least not a threat. He talked about feminism a lot. And I just, he had cocaine and I was just willing to go back to his house. And we had like a rap battle and. You
were rapping?
Yeah, I was rapping, and I actually stopped rapping after that because his cousin was there. He said that I won, and something just switched in his eyes. Like, I could just see that it wasn't games anymore.
Yeah.
And he raped me. And it wasn't something where, like, I thought I would maybe not live that night. Like, I didn't know if I was going to make it.
Wow, that's crazy.
It wasn't just, it was violent. It was very violent.
Like hitting you and shit?
Yeah. Yeah. It was violent. And I was really scared. And I could just see that switch in his eyes, and I could see that he was just angry. And and that's the thing. It wasn't a sexual desire even. It was just showing that he had power over me. And so that was one of the scariest things that's happened to me.
Did, this guy get locked up?
No.
No?
I didn't tell anyone. I mean, I told some people, and I had a lot of friends that, wanted to go get they already had a gun, wanted to go and kill him. And I was like, no, don't do that. And thing is like, he was unhappy with himself. And I'm not going to say that I forgive him.
You're trying to make excuses for him?
I'm not trying to make excuses for him.
That's what it sounds like.
But I think that when someone does something so terrible, and I actually saw him again at a restaurant. I ordered food, and he tried to give me all this food for free because he knew what he had done. And
so he's a waiter?
He was a waiter. And
at what restaurant?
At it's like on my street.
What's the name of your street?
It's on Cortland. And they have, I don't even know if he works there anymore. It's like there's a wine bar, and then there's Vega is the main restaurant, and then there's a wine bar.
How long ago did this happen?
This happened, oh my God, a while ago. I was about 20, so like 5 years ago. But it definitely stuck with me. I mean, I've had bad things happen to me. I think bad things happen when you're,
What's his
blackout and whatnot.
Do you remember his name?
No. I don't want to remember the details. All I remember is like I saw him that day. I saw how disappointed in himself he was, and I didn't forgive him. I didn't anything like that. But I knew that it was, he thought that he wanted to be better than me, and he just couldn't. And he obviously just didn't have like any self-esteem. And that's why he wanted to take my power away. Now, I don't want him to go out and do this to other girls. I
mean, if he probably has.
Maybe. I mean, maybe I should have said something.
I mean, well, it's never too late.
It's never too late. Maybe I'll consider it.
What is why do you think when shit like that happens to women, as far as rape, why do you think women don't, the majority of the women just keep it to themselves and not tell anyone, and allow these men to just walk the streets?
I think it's a shame that you have in yourself. After that happened, that very morning I was suicidal because I felt like something had been taken from me, and I felt like my power had been taken from me. It was like someone showing me like you may have all these other things that make you powerful, but in the end, I will have strength. And you're not strong enough physically to do anything about it. And I think that, a lot of women are just terrified by that. And they don't want to deal with the legal system because the legal system has failed women over and over again. And you don't want to have to look at the perpetrator and be told that maybe you were just a slut. Because that's what happens a lot of times, you know? I mean, I know that at that point in my life, I wasn't ready to go through the legal system to bring him to justice. And at the same time, you know, I felt like I did see remorse in his eyes. And I feel like that made me feel like maybe he had learned something from it. But I could be wrong. But I would like to think that, you know, people's mistakes and the bad things they've done. I've done some bad things myself, things I'm not going to get into. Maybe a few of them, but not the worst thing I've ever done, you know. And I don't think that we are the sum of all the bad things we've ever done in our lives. I think that, you know, if we've helped people, that kind of balances things out. Do you like Joss Whedon? He wrote the show Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
No.
Well, he shows a lot.
I don't even know who that guy is, but I heard of the show and the movie.
He shows a lot of characters who have done bad things, and then, you know, they're able to redeem themselves after doing very terrible things. And I would like to think that, well, there are some sociopaths out there who just do not feel. And I've met some of those people, and those people are scary, you know. Like, I stay away from those kinds of people. But I'd like to think that most people, you know, they have motives that drive them to do things they wouldn't normally do. They're intoxicated or in a really bad place in their lives, and they make a terrible decision. I'd like to think they think about it afterwards, and they realize that, and they have enough empathy to feel the pain that they brought upon another person.
If you look back at this, and if you would look back at it, would you go to the police after it happened, or would you have not changed anything that you've done in handling the situation?
It's a really hard question, because at the time, you know, if I had been sober, maybe I would have went about things in a different way. I think, you know, and I know this doesn't make it okay, but the fact that I willingly went to his house and put myself in that position, you know, where I, you know, chose to do cocaine with this person, and there's all these things that I chose to do, and maybe there was red flags I didn't see, you know. And I think at the time, after it happened, I was still intoxicated. So I wasn't willing to deal with it. And there's a certain amount of time you have to go to the police and do the rape kit and do all of that stuff before you basically don't have any evidence or a case.
Did you get tested and all that after?
I mean, I got tested. Like, I went to my own gynecologist, but I didn't tell them what happened. I got STD tested. But that was probably the extent of it. But this is the type of thing I want to write about, and I want to have other women feel able to write about, because it has a lot of stigma, you know, and like addiction and, you know, or drinking and rape and date rape. And I mean, I even want to talk about women who are, you know, perpetuators of domestic violence.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, people don't think about that. Like, there are women who, you know, are the ones who are violent in a relationship. I mean, I want to get like all sides of it, because, you know, there's a lot of things that big magazines don't want to cover. And the things we're talking about right now are the things they don't want to cover. You know, not all the time. It'll be in a special issue. Yeah. But it's like, there's too many triggers, you know, and I'll have some trigger warnings. But I mean, I think I'm going to need like one big fat trigger warning on my site. Just like, if you get easily spooked, or if you've had too many life experiences where you just can't handle reading anything about anything, then just don't go here. Because it's going to be brutally honest. You know?
Have you been raped more than once?
Yes, I have.
How many times?
I don't know. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, drugs and that kind of thing, they really go together. And, you know, and I had a therapist for a bit, and I talked to her about it, and she's like, well, just remember that now that you're sober, that never needs to happen again. Like, you are in control. You know, the drugs aren't controlling you. So I try to put all of that stuff to rest, and I still remember it. And I've also been in abusive relationships before that have lasted way too long, but I try to put those things to rest because I want to focus on the future, and there's a place for that stuff. I mean, right now in a podcast where I can, hopefully, other women will hear this and feel, empowered, or at least not alone in these experiences. But the place is for, the time to talk about it is in instances like this, or when I'm writing, but it shouldn't take up all my mental time. Mm-hmm. Because then I'm letting those experiences get the best of me,
Has all those bad experiences with men, as far as like rape goes, has it made you look at men differently? Like, let's say you're at a bar and like men come up to you. I'm talking about now that you're sober now. Do you,
some people would call me incredibly gullible, but I'd like to think that I'm just an optimist in the sense that just because, a group of people did something to me, or not even a group, you can't even call it a group, just a whole bunch of different individuals did something to me. It doesn't mean that I can just categorize all men as bad, because I know that not all men are bad. Mm-hmm. But if I see someone who, who talks to me in a certain way, or is talking to their girlfriend in a certain way, I have definitely intervened. Mm-hmm. Like, I have intervened helping other women more than I have intervened in my own life. I don't know what it is, but like, there was one time, and it was like at the end of high school, there was this girl, and I think it was like her boyfriend or some guy she was maybe going out with, and he was like, "You stay by me. You need to always be by me. You're my girl. You stay by me. You stay loyal to me. Don't look at him. Don't look at those guys. Like, you're mine. You fucking hear me?" And he's like holding her arm, and it was just not okay. And I went over to the guy and I just punched him 6 times in the stomach, and I got his attention, and he looked at me. He was like, "Ow, that hurt," and I was like, "Well, it's supposed to." And he was like, "What was that for?" I'm like, "Apologize." And
you didn't know the girl?
I sort of knew her from high school, but we weren't friends or anything. Like, I wasn't friends with her actually at all, and I didn't really want to be. But I just kind of saw the way that he was treating her, and I just kind of knew outright that wasn't okay. And that whether I'm friends with her or whether I even like her or don't like her, it doesn't matter. She doesn't get, she shouldn't be treated that way. Yeah. And, and he like first started apologizing to me, and it's just so funny that it's like he starts apologizing to me because I'm the one who inflicted pain on him, right? And again, maybe this wasn't the best way to go about it, but it's like I literally had to tell him, like, no, apologize to her, not to, why are you apologizing to me? Yeah. So like, and there's been multiple instances where I've stuck up for other women and not for myself, but I think again, like we as people, we doubt ourselves more because we're in our own heads. We know what we might have done wrong. We self-criticize, we self-analyze to the point where it can be more detrimental than it is useful, And I think, and again, we make up excuses for people who do things to us. We try to understand why they would. Yeah. But when we're seeing a situation play out, we kind of automatically go, this person's in the wrong, this person's in the right, or this person is the victim of this person. It's easier to see because you're not in it, You don't, they have a full story. They know this guy. They know, all the good things about him. So it's harder for them to defend themselves because they know all these different sides of this guy. They know their part in the relationship. But what I'm seeing is it's just an image. It's just capturing one moment in time. And in that one moment, he's doing something wrong. But I'm not in their heads. I don't know their relationship. I don't know, all the details. No. I don't know if she's cheated on him before and maybe that's why he's acting out. But it doesn't matter. Because in that moment, I see what I see and it's not right either way. But I think, when you're in your own body and, the way you perceive the world, again, you're self-analyzing, you're self-critical, you're trying to understand another person's emotions. I would like to think that, I know that almost all of us have empathy, and I consider myself to be an empath. For a long time, I saw that as a weakness, but I'm seeing that more as a strength. I think it's a good thing to have empathy, you know, but I think you can't let it get in the way of knowing when you're being treated wrong.
So, what was it? When was the point? I mean, you obviously went through a whole lot of shit while you were on drugs and shit. But and you're sober now. And how long have you been sober?
I've been sober for honestly 3 months, so I'm kind of a baby at it. But It's very interesting because I've heard a lot of people. It's really interesting because even after just 3 months of sobriety, I can't see myself ever wanting to drink or use again. And I think it's because I got to such a low bottom that I realized that all drugs stop working.
All right, well, let me get to this question.
Okay, sorry.
So, so you went through a whole lot of shit during this time period, right? What was the main, what happened to where you were like, you know what, it's time to be sober?
Okay, so I dropped out of law school, hated myself for that. I was doing so much fentanyl, I didn't care if I lived or died. And I was having seizures every night. I didn't realize this till later on, but I guess, this weird position I was in, it looked like a T-Rex.
Can you explain what fentanyl is?
Fentanyl is like heroin, but it's 100 times more potent. So people.
And how do you take it?
And you can snort it, or you can shoot it, or you can smoke it. I snorted it.
Okay.
I smoked it a few times, but it went too fast when I did it that way. So I snorted it, and I was having seizures. I OD'd, and I was so selfish and wrapped up in myself. But after I OD'd, I noticed that my friends and even my family was prepared for me to die. And when someone is prepared for you to die, they love you, but from a distance, because they're protecting themselves. And when you start to see people you love distancing from you, not because they don't love you, but because they're scared that you will die, I mean, your heart breaks. Like, my heart broke, I'm like, I'm doing this to them. I'm making them, they don't know if I'm going to live or die tomorrow. I'm like breaking all of their hearts, and I love these people. And I felt like there was nothing left to live for. And then it's like, as soon as I got sober, I still didn't know that till I got sober. And once I got sober, I was like, oh wait, I have all this creative stuff on my resume. And if I wanted to do law school, I could do it again. And, there's so many opportunities out there in the world, I have a lot to live for. But when you're in this vicious cycle, you don't see that. But yeah, I guess the bottom, the straw that broke the camel's back would be just literally just slowly seeing people, emotionally break away from me because they couldn't handle it. And I just realized enough was enough. There was never enough drugs. I couldn't do enough drugs to ever be satisfied. It was never enough. I always plateaued. There was always it would be a gram, and then I wouldn't get high anymore. A gram and a half. Okay, 2 weeks, wouldn't get high anymore. So you're doing 5 grams a day? I mean, that's insane. 1 gram can kill about 20 normal people.
You're talking about 1 gram of fentanyl?
Yeah, can kill about 20 people. I was doing 1.5 grams a day.
Damn.
So imagine all that in your system. I mean, that's not good for your system, and also, and then when you stop getting high off of that amount, that was another thing that scared me. I'm like, wait, I'm doing this amount and I'm small, and I can't get high. How much more do I need to do to get high, And at that point, it wasn't even about getting high. It was I just wanted to be checked out. I didn't want to live my life anymore. I was like, bye, adios, vacation time, But it wasn't, it was a horrible vacation, a bad vacation.
So how did you get sober? Did you go to where the fuck they call that shit?
Rehab.
Yeah, rehab.
So it was COVID-19. I was looking at rehabs. They are so expensive, so freaking expensive. They're $30,000 to $40,000 for a month. And the doors aren't locked. Lots of things happen in rehabs that shouldn't happen because there's not enough protection, and women get raped in there all the time, bad thing. You're in a population of really screwed up people. You have a lot of people who are coming off of methamphetamines that are very scary people when they're coming off of that stuff. you know? And I think it was, you know, partially that. I had my cats who I'm very attached to. I didn't want to leave them. So I was looking for like pet friendly rehabs, which costed more. And then it's like COVID hit and I was like, I'm not going to like go through rehab during COVID with my cats. Like that's going to cost this, you know, 10 grand more just for my cats for some like small little room. You know, it just didn't make any sense.
Yeah.
And I, you know, I have Kaiser and finally, you know, I set a date and it's funny because actually I didn't go through withdrawal. Like when I was doing less fentanyl, and it had been last time, I would instantly go through withdrawals. And there was a 3-day period of just me waiting and not going through withdrawals. And it was really weird. And all of a sudden it hit and it hit really hard. Like really hard. Withdrawals are no joke. It is the worst experience I think I've ever been through. But you know, I just went to AA meetings and that was my program. And I just went to AA and I saw these people who are so loving. Like they just love you. Like it's incredible. You know, they know your story before you open your own mouth because they've been through it. And they want you to get better. And each day they just told me, they're like, it gets better. They're like, just hold on, it gets better. And they would also say something else. They're like, be good to yourself. And I always hated it when they said that because I was like, be good to myself. What do you mean? Like treat yourself? Like go get some drugs? Like that's what I thought they meant, you know? I'm like, I can't be good to myself.
Yeah.
You know? But what I realized, what that means is like go through the pain. Because if you go through the pain, you will come out the other side a better person, a healthy person, a person who's aware of the mistakes they make in life, a person who's aware of you know, what they're doing to other people and what they're doing to themselves, you know? I mean, that's what be good to yourself means.
Do you think it's easier to stay, to keep on this sober path because it's COVID-19 and like nobody's going out really to bars and shit, right? So it's easier for you to like stay in the house? You
know, partially I think that might be part of it. But in another instance, no. It's been really hard not seeing my friends. You know, and like sometimes I'm like, you know, I'm sober, not dead. Like I can, you know, still hang out with people who are drinking. Like I went on a vacation where people were drinking, you know, tequila and this and that in front of me, and I didn't have the desire to drink. And I just know that it's because I'm just built differently. Like they've shown that, you know, alcoholism and drug addiction is a chemical, it's a chemical thing. It's a chemical imbalance in your brain. And I'm just not built to be able to handle it without like, you know, doing crazy things and, you know, going.
So you don't think you can just have one drink and be done for the rest of the night?
No, I've never, I mean, sometimes I was able to, and I'd be like, look at that, I did it, you know, but in my mind, I'd always be like, well, I want another, and I also want some cocaine, I also want this, and I also want that.
Yeah.
You know, it's just, I can't do the one drink and just stop there. So so I know because of that, like, it's just not for me. And I've seen now a life that is working really well without drugs and alcohol. And that's a beautiful thing. Like, I see that, you know, all these people have been wanting to talk to me. I'm talking to, like, these celebrity authors who, you know, want to talk to me. I'm talking to, like, all types of people.
Yeah.
You know? And it's wonderful. It's just wonderful to see what you can do and, you know, who you can attract and what energy you attract when you're healthy yourself. And I wouldn't give that up.
Did you have to give up a lot of friends because they're into drugs and you don't want to hang out with them because you'll be trapped into that cycle again? Yeah,
there's certain people that I can't hang out with. But to be honest, one of my best friends passed away. I would say, like, I mean, pretty recently, like about 6 months ago. And you know, he didn't really do drugs that much himself. I mean, he died of cardiac arrest. I don't know. I don't want to spread his business around, but, you know, I don't know if that was I mean, he had other health issues. I don't know exactly what it was, but anyway, he, was, had a lot of friends that, were graffiti artists, and they all did, like crack and speed and heroin and all of it,
Mm-hmm.
and I would see him sometimes, but, he never wanted me around that. And sometimes I would go over to his house when all these people were around, and he's like, "You are killing yourself. Get out of here. You're killing yourself."
Mm-hmm.
And he was very protective about it. And, he passed now, but that was kind of like the last person who knew people that I would want to hang out with,
Yeah.
that were doing that sort of thing. And now that he's gone, I don't really have a reason to see those people.
Why can't you kick the vape?
Oh my God. Nick, I'm like there's two things I'm not.
You can kick all this other shit. How come you can't kick the vape?
It's my last thing. I'm like,
you just need something to do.
I need something. Like, I've kicked everything else. Don't ask me to stay away from coffee or vaping. Two things I need. I mean, eventually I'll get off of it, because I thought that nicotine doesn't, give you wrinkles or age you, but that's false. It does. It makes it so that, there's not enough, oxygen going to your skin, which gives you wrinkles. And that's why I stopped smoking in the first place. I mean, that and all the other health.
I remember when vapes first came out, and they came out saying, they were advertising, "Oh, you can smoke these vapes instead of cigarettes. It's more healthier, or it's to quit cigarettes." People were vaping to quit smoking. And then the vapes turned into like some other shit.
It turned into a whole nother thing where it was like a fad.
Like put weed in them and all that shit.
Yeah. No, I mean, I picked up the Juul because I was smoking 2 packs a day, and it was really unhealthy, and I was coughing every morning, and it was just gross. It's like I smelled like cigarettes all the time, and people don't like that. It's like not good for a workplace. It's not good for seeing clients. Like, no one wants to be around someone who smells like, old cigarette, like an ashtray, You also don't want to taste like it if you're kissing somebody, like ashtray mouth. It's not cute,
It's definitely not cute.
Not cute. So I was like, I'm going to vape instead. And there are some health benefits to vaping. It is better than smoking cigarettes. It's not like, I mean, there's some people who say that it's, worse, which is just, I mean, that's a downright lie. It's not worse than cigarettes. It's nicotine. And it's, it's a water soluble, vape thing, I mean, it's the science behind it. I don't know. The UK says that it's 95% better than cigarettes. Now, it still gives you wrinkles. Nicotine isn't good for you. It can cause heart problems. There's a lot of problems that nicotine can give you, but it is better than, smoking cigarettes.
This crack is better. This crack is crack, but it's better than the other crack. That don't fucking sound right. Yo, take this cocaine. It's better than that cocaine. It's still cocaine, but it's just better than this cocaine. I don't want to hear that shit. Nicotine is nicotine.
Nicotine is nicotine. Nicotine is bad for you is what I'm trying to say. I think it's better than cigarettes, but, again, I'm not a health professional, so don't take my word for it.
Yeah.
But I think, water and nicotine together is better for you than, just smoking outright. Something like actual, like, tar and stuff that's going into your lungs.
Yeah.
All
right, well, anyways, stupid girl things. Explain this to me and to the world.
Okay, so I sort of first, I came up with the name much later, but the idea came from just a very simple problem I have.
Well, first of all, what is it? Is it a magazine?
What is it? So it is an online women's magazine, and it's experiential content on an interactive platform. And what that means is that, I want people's experiences. I want, brave women. I need women who don't hear the voices or cannot find what they're looking for. They don't feel a connection to what they're reading or seeing out in the world. I need those women who feel like they cannot connect to the media to come forward and submit their work so that we do have that voice. It's about, creating a space for all of the material that is just not trending or isn't something that a big magazine would want, So in my case, I was in law school and I was looking up people who were women who were dealing with addiction in law school. And I saw things written about men, because I think there's less of a stigma just around like men being addicts and men, you know, being able to bounce back and something like that. I mean, women in the law community are held to a higher standard. So I think, you know, successful, you know, lawyers who are women don't want to come out and say, I used to be a drug addict. I know of women who are drug addicts, you know, but I never heard exactly how they went through it or exactly their story, and we need those stories. So I'm not a lawyer, but I went through a semester of law school while I was doing too many drugs, you know, and I want to be that voice that I couldn't find. And so that's what I'm looking for. If there's a voice out there that you're not able to find that you need or you needed, and that could have saved you, or it could have at least given you some perspective, and it could have changed the course of your life, but you couldn't find it. Because I searched Reddit, which is not very women friendly. I searched so many different forums to find one story like mine. I couldn't find it. When I know there are stories like that out there, you know? So it really came from that just simple idea. But then I also realized, you know, that I read a lot of articles, and you know, it's always the same thing that's just kind of recycled. It's like, should you shave for, you know, summer or winter? Should you shave in the winter? Or, you know, it's some dumb thing, and it's just recycled content.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's always usually like, oh, how to make 5 ways to flirt, or 5 ways to make your man happy, or, you know, whatever. You know, Cosmo. I'm thinking about Cosmo right now. But,
Thinking about what?
Cosmo? Cosmopolitan, like Cosmo, the magazine.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's just
17-year-olds read that bullshit.
17, yeah, exactly. Like, I'm looking for, like, a women's magazine that is for women.
Yeah.
And not just for, you know, like, young girls, or, you know, women who are trying to be Kim Kardashian, or, you know, just like real women who are dealing with real issues and want to be able to connect to what they're reading. And that's where the interactive element comes in. I want there to be, like, you know, small quizzes or small, you know, interactive elements. There's going to be a forum. And I've had this idea of doing, and actually comes from coronavirus and how people have been kind of podding up. Like, we're kind of turning into pods, you know, because, you know, we don't want to all get infected. And so this idea of basically like how Wikipedia, you know, they have like badged people who go over content and, you know, make sure that, you know, it's okay. Again, I don't want to censor people, but there's certain things that I think you and I can both agree are just completely inappropriate. You know, like there's no like, you know, racism or sexism or just none of that crap. Like, I don't want that, you know, on there. That's not our message. I don't want anyone saying anything that's just like outright not okay. So, you know, we'll have like kind of, I was thinking of having basically pods where, you know, there'll be a group of people who are all interested in one article, and then they can start a forum discussion around that article. And maybe even, you know, if I have a feature on someone who, you know, wrote a book about, you know, whatever topic they're interested in, maybe, you know, they can be part of the discussion too. So you're going to be able to ask questions from people that you look up to, or who have, you know, answers to maybe some answers to problems that they faced that might be the answer to your problem as well. So I'm really looking to find, you know, the people that we look up to be able to speak directly to us, you know. And I found that, you know, just by doing like outreach and lead generation through Instagram, actually, that, you know, there's a lot of people that want to share their story and who want to talk to, you know, all people. You know, they wrote stuff to help people.
Is this like live, or you're just like working on it right now, trying to set it all up?
So I've done one interview with Amy Dressner. She is the author of My Fair Junkie. And she, I mean, her book was amazing and really helped me. Her book was basically about, it's called My Fair Junkie, getting dirty and living clean, getting dirty and living sober. So I'm forgetting the exact part after that. But basically, like, she it starts with her with a knife threatening her husband. And then the cops take her away. And then she goes to rehab. And then she's on, then she has to clean the streets in her jumpsuit. And she's like, this is the worst thing that's ever happened to me. And it actually gave her humility. And she learned that through the work and through community service, how to be a person again. And, she finally, she had all these attempts at getting sober and they never worked. But it was finally gaining some humility and being out there and helping other people and talking to other people, that finally got her to get back down to earth and get sober. And I really liked her story because it's just very honest from the beginning to the end. And again, she talks about being a perpetuator of domestic violence. And I think that, that's a side of the story that we don't usually hear about. We hear about the guy who strikes. We don't hear about the girl striking back. That happens all the time. Women don't just get knocked down or are like, okay.
So you interviewed her. Where can people hear this?
Yeah. So I interviewed her.
I'm saying, where can people hear the interview?
Oh. Wait. End of interview?
No, the interview that you did with her. You said you interviewed her, right?
Yes, I interviewed her.
Where can people hear it?
Yes. All people. Where can people? I thought you said working people hear it. I'm like, what are you saying?
Where can I hear this interview?
Okay, so I am actually still in the middle of editing it. It is super long. It went on for 2 hours. You have this whole thing down. I don't yet. So I'm still trying to figure out how to edit it. Maybe we'll get some tips from you after this. But basically, I want to edit it down to maybe, 15 minutes, and then I'll have the full version because people's attention spans they aren't that long.
Yeah.
So I wanted to get something that's kind of short and sweet and the funny parts, and then we can have the full interview. And I'm also trying to get a lineup and get I have a whole bunch of people I'm supposed to be interviewing. I have Kat Marnell, and I have James Frey, and I have a nice lineup of people.
Are these phone interviews or face to face?
These are Zoom interviews, so not face to face. I would like to do some face to face interviews, but again, during COVID, it's hard. But I think it's also a blessing in disguise because these people are socialites in Hollywood, some of them, and a lot of times I feel like these people wouldn't have the time of day for me. But because they can do it this way, they're willing to do it.
Where did the name come from, Stupid Girl Things?
So, Stupid, I liked the name because it's not just rhetorical. But I feel that, all my life I've been struggling, I've been struggling with ADHD. And I think that sometimes, we all think in a different way. And sometimes people can see the way that I respond or the way I take things kind of literally as a sign of being dumb. And I all my life have tried to prove that wrong by going about things in a totally wrong way, by being more aggressive, by, trying to go to law school and realizing that that's not really what I wanted to do with my life, by becoming a kind of a meaner person, by being more judgmental, by, all of these, really what they are, defense mechanisms. And basically, there's a stigma around, women just in the workplace and how they do. And a lot of times, pretty girls or just girls in general get called dumb or stupid,
Yeah.
And so I'm trying to kind of take back the word for myself. So it's a personal thing, but it's also just in any workplace, women are called dumb and stupid all the time. So it's kind of in your face, us stupid girls are going to be writing about all this really important stuff that isn't being spoken about right now. So it's kind of stick it to the man kind of name.
So where can women
submit?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good question. They can submit at stupidgirlthings.com, and then there's a submit button. It's very hard. You cannot miss it. It's a yellow submit button. You just click there and submit your writing. And I would love to look over it. You can also submit by emailing submit@stupidgirlthings.com. And those are basically the two best ways.
Do you have any Do you have any writings like posted already where people can like read? What I'm saying is this magazine up where like people to like look at.
Not quite yet, but I'm getting a teaser page coming together, and it's going to come together really soon. I just want it to be, I don't want to have all this talk and then have like a mediocre page. So I'm trying to have like a teaser page that has the interactive elements I want, that has a forum, that has like 3 interviews, that has, enough writing. And I want to have, a good amount of content, backup content so that, I don't put this out and then it's just sitting there for, a month and then I have to scramble to get more content. I want content for, this week and the next week before I put it out there. But I'm hoping that I'll have a teaser page up and about in like 3 weeks, something like that. And it might not be completely perfect, but it's going to have all the elements I want, which is, interactivity, like brutally honest women, people talking about their experiences, and really no censorship. I mean, except for, what I was telling you about. I mean, some censorship, but really no censorship. When it comes to, your experience, it doesn't need to be censored.
Yeah.
Say exactly what happened to you or exactly what you did and what you learned from it, how you triumphed from it, or, even something like how you put a business together. I have a friend who submitted a piece about how she started her own business and how other people can do the same. And it's really like a good roadmap. I mean, it's like 7 pages, like a detailed roadmap, like how, getting a business account, like everything. It's all in there. And like, I want pieces like that. I want pieces about, I have a man who, he's older now, who wrote an experience about how he was molested. And I think that needs to be heard as well.
So you're taking men writing too?
Yes, I'm taking.
So it's not just women?
It's not just women. I mean, it's a women's magazine, and I really want the female experience. But if a man wants to, show his experience with,
I don't think you should do that.
You don't think I should do it?
You should just keep it all women.
Keep it all women? I've been thinking about just keeping it all women. I've been thinking like I could have like maybe a few posts, but I don't want like the majority, definitely not. I don't even want 50%.
Because you want to cater to, if you include men, right? Men are not going to go on your shit and then be like, oh, I want to read about, because they're going to think, oh, this is just male bash, and I don't want to read about this shit. So, I mean, some men will, but I think you should, because you're basically catering. That's why it's called Stupid Girl Things, because you're basically, what I'm assuming, you're catering to women.
I'm catering
right?
to women, but at the same time, I'm working with men on it, and they think that it's really important, to have this out there, and they're excited to read a lot of the pieces, I mean, I think that in AA we say that AA is a design for living. And I think that Stupid Girl Things will be kind of like that too. It's from each other's experiences we can grow together. And, I don't want to, I want it to be accessible to all. That's not a male bashing, magazine. It's like if a woman had a bad experience with a man, she's going to write about it. That doesn't mean all men are evil. And I'm not going to take some manifesto that, talks about how all men should die or, I'm not going to post anything like that. It has to be your experience. If someone has, and this is actually really important, if someone has a political view and they just want to rant about it, I'm probably not going to take that. I want their experience with whatever is being politicized right now. If you went to a protest and you got beaten up by the police, I want that story. I don't want you to talk about what you're seeing on the news. We have enough of that. We have the echo chamber. I don't need another Facebook. This isn't Facebook. I don't need an echo chamber. I want people's experiences with, whatever subject it is. So that's where I'm heading with it. But
okay. So tell the people where they can find you. Like, this is the point where you basically promote
okay,
yourself. So you can tell. I mean, just explain where people can find you. If you want to give out your Instagram, email, give out that website again.
Okay. Okay, so the website's name is, again, this is Zola Hjelm, and I created Stupid Girl Things. And you can find Stupid Girl Things at stupidgirlthings.com. You can check out my Instagram, which is right now at Zola Hjelm, and Hjelm is spelled Hjelm. Should actually probably spell out the first name too. Zola, Zola. Yeah, so it's hard one. Also, my email is Zola, Zola, Hjelm, Hjelm @gmail.com. But you can contact me through Stupid Girl Things at contact at stupidgirlthings.com. You can submit some of your own writing or, video or, lyrics to a song. I mean, really anything. I would love to take a look at it. I mean, I want this also to be kind of an artist platform. I'm going to have some spoken word artists on there as well. And I'm really excited about that. I'm going to have Kyla Janae Lacey on it, and she wrote and she also performed a slam piece called White Privilege, and it's amazing and knocks her socks off. So I mean, really anything you have, just throw it my way at submit@stupidgirlthings.com. And yeah, and that's basically all. We also have a GoFundMe page, so you can find that on the website as well if you want to support us. But submissions is like number one. Content. So, I hope you guys like the idea. And if you do, submit something, tell your friends about it, collaborate in any way you can.
All right. Well, thank you, Zola, for coming on Everyday Celebrity Podcast. I think you're going to be the first guest of season 2.
Woo! What an honor. Yeah.
And everyone, check out Stupid Girl Things. It's in the making right now, but all you women, like she said, if you have a story, please submit to stupidgirlthings.com.
.com.
Yeah. And she's looking for content. She's looking for real stories. Unapologetic. What else? Uncensored,
unapologetic,
but don't
brutally honest.
Don't say no racist shit.
Yeah.
So yeah, thank you, Zola. Stupidgirlthings.com. Please go on that and submit. And we are out. Do you have anything else
I
to
think
say?
that's all. I think that's everything.
She's here with her partner for the people who are watching this. He's in the back. You want to come on the mic and introduce yourself?
Hi everyone, I'm Lucas. And,
I think that.
No, you can say it into the mic.
Say it into the mic.
What's up, everybody? This is Lucas. Glad to be here. Zola is my lovely girlfriend, and I think Stupid Girl Thing is going to be a big hit. So check it out and share the stories that need to be heard.
All right. Well, we are out. You.